We're not done. We have one more guest on the Bret, Easton, Ellis podcast book club, none other than Sean Bateman, James Van Der Beek. Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, very good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm just gonna try to get the
There we go.
aspect ratio. There you go. There you are. Okay.
Oh wow, looks great.
How you doing?
Oh, very good.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. We love it.
Yeah.
We love it.
Yeah. Oh wow, Austin, Texas.
Yeah,
Oh,
man.
yeah. Thanks very much for coming on to the Bret, Easton, Ellis podcast book club.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. I'm kind of really excited to hear what you have to say. Basically, I wanted to start with before you played the character of Sean Bateman. Did you read the rules of attraction before? Did you go into it just from the script, or had you read Bret, Easton, Ellis before?
I'd read American Psycho. I'd read American Psycho, and I was familiar with Bret. I read the script, and I just loved it. Roger Avary had. You okay? You good?
Sorry. Yeah, sorry.
Okay. No, I just heard beeping. I didn't know if we need to start over. Yeah, Roger Avary had written this incredible script, and all the cues that I needed for a fully flushed out character were in the script. I actually purposely did not read the entire book, because what I was afraid might happen was I would read the book, and then there would be scenes in the book that would be in my head that I thought were in the movie. Mm-hmm. So I decided to base the character entirely on the pieces that Roger had pulled from the book and had used, and then kind of the creativity he'd put into the script. I thought that would serve the movie best. I didn't read the book until after. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Roger was kind of my Sherpa through the book, and so I put complete trust in him, and then from that we created what you saw in the movie. But the character, for me, the character of Patrick Bateman was super important in playing Sean. So I was in a way, reading American Psycho was probably the best possible preparation, because that's your big brother. and there were a couple scenes in the movie where Sean actually had to call his big brother, which we ended up not using in the cut. But for me, the character of Patrick Bateman was always right there over Sean in every single scene, in every bit of preparation. There was Patrick.
Okay, yeah, and so you read it afterwards, but you normally like I know you from Dawson's Creek and things like that. You normally played like quite a nice guy. What was it like in like doing this sort of character where there's kind of no redeemable qualities to him?
Oh, I disagree. I think there are many. I don't know about redeemable. It's not my place to judge or decide who gets redeemed and who doesn't. I mean, to me, Sean was somebody who was desperately looking to give and receive love, and had zero skills with which to do that. So to me, he was a tragic character. I mean, there are his actions, right? And he's an asshole. I mean, objectively, kind of an asshole, and he's rough, and he's very selfish. But I don't look at him. I just look at him as a guy who really underneath wanted to give and receive love and had no idea how to do that. Just didn't grow up with the tools, didn't grow up with it around him, and was so disconnected from that thing that he really, really wanted. So to me, that's tragic. Does that redeem what he did? I don't know. That's for the audience to decide, not me. To me, he was a guy who was after something very worthy, and kind of what we're here on this planet to do, but he just sucked at it. That was my view of Sean. And it was very different than the character I was playing at the time. But it's funny, oddly enough, I had my start both in theater and in independent film before I got Dawson's Creek, playing all kinds of just terrible people. So, bullies and neo-Nazis and all kinds of weird characters before I ended up
what do you
doing
enjoy
Dawson's
more
Creek.
playing,
So it was definitely in my repertoire.
Yeah. And do you enjoy playing kind of these more like dark characters?
I enjoy complicated people. the more complicated they are and the more specific I can make them, the more fun it is, because the more whatever happens in between action and cut will surprise me. It's funny. I always think, oh, it'd be fun to play this guy who's really dark or really evil, and because he's in control. But I'm so stupid because I forget every single time going into those roles. Once those characters get on their feet, I realize, oh yeah, this character's like this because he's saddled with a lot of pain. This person is a lot. There's just so much sadness and so much desperation and so much dysfunction, and that's why they are that way. And so I mean, it's fun in that masochistic actory kind of way, but yeah, there's always a lot of despair in those guys. And so by about 3/4 of the way through the film shoot, you're like, oh, there's a lot of sadness to carry, man.
And what was it like? I interviewed Roger Avary as well, and like watching that film now,
Oh
it's
yeah.
very ambitious film. Seeing the way like the techniques used and every way that it was shot and all the different things that were tried in order to kind of copy the literary style of the book, or at least do its own version of it. What was it like being on set?
Oh, Roger's a genius. I love Roger. I can't say enough good things about Roger. Created a container that felt like freewheeling chaos, but he knew where all the boundaries were, where all the cliffs were, and you just had free reign in there. And he just kind of somehow Jedi mind tricked you into zones that were good for the movie, but you felt like you had complete and total freedom. He was just great. Everybody trusted him. I think he genuinely cares about everybody and cared about all the actors, cared about the performances. He's got a big heart, and just really, really capable, and just so able as a filmmaker to know what he wants, to know exactly how to shoot it, he knows how he's going to edit it. So there's no superfluous coverage of a scene. Even like I remember the scene with Clifton, the drug dealer, the very first scene. He just shot profile, and he never got complimentary coverage on me. And even the first AD was saying, "Aren't you going to want to get around?" And Roger said, "No, I'll never use that in the edit." And he knew exactly how he was going to shoot it. So you just really felt like you were in good hands. And that one really ambitious shot with the split screen that came together, it was a big swing. It was a big ballsy swing. It was the one moment where you kind of really had to buy Sean and Lauren as something that actually maybe could be. And it was this big technical thing. We did all pretty much in camera. I mean, this is before we could really afford any more than just that much digital technology to go in and fix or rotoscope. And he just pulled it off, man. He galvanized everybody through passion and just giving us license to kind of go off and be crazy and discover it.
Yeah, and so you read
it was a fun set.
You read American Psycho beforehand, and then you read Rules of Attraction after. Did you read any more of Bret Easton Ellis's work?
Yeah, I've read a bunch. I've since become friends with Bret, and I've read a bunch of his stuff. And yeah, he's just one of those voices. I'm just so glad is out there. He's really he's such a sharp wit, such an independent thinker. Yeah, I love Bret. I've since become really pretty good friends.
Yeah, and you've actually like, because you do writing and directing and stuff now. What is it like going in behind the scenes and writing and directing compared to just acting or something?
It's interesting. When the first show that I ran and wrote and created, I was ready for a really steep learning curve. And all of a sudden, when I was sitting at the head of that table in the production office, with everybody looking at me, wondering what to do, and we were scheduling and doing all the nitty gritty logistical planning of a shoot, I realized how much I knew from spending 20 plus years on set. There really is stuff that you just learn on your feet in the trenches that is invaluable. And I realized actually how good of a training ground that was, for that. Just playing scenes on their feet, making scenes work, making scenes that don't work, fixing them, script doctoring to try to tweak it so that you can figure it out, mapping a character arc throughout an episode or throughout an entire film. I use all of that every time I write. And also when I write, I can trust actors too for what they can see in between the lines, and trust what an actor can accomplish, and also not overestimate what they can accomplish in a given scenario, and not put too much on their shoulders, to really help them out and give them a chance for success. And I love actors because, you know, I'm one of those crazies too. We're a really strange breed of demented artists. And so I just have real kind of empathy and and understanding from my brethren, from my people, from fellow humans with the defective actor gene.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
And so like a movie like Rules of Attraction and a book like it is something that would be quite kind of daring to do today. Do you think this is the sort of movie that would be made today, or would you think it's something that would be worth pursuing today?
I don't see how you get this movie made today, especially with that cast. I don't know who would make it. I don't know who you'd even go out and pitch it to. You'd have to do it independent, but then does this go to Sundance? I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know, but I don't want to be too pessimistic. I want to say there's somebody who would make it, and it would maybe find an audience. I mean, it didn't find an audience when it came out in theaters, is the truth of the matter. The marketing campaign, I think, wasn't representative of what the movie was. I think that hurt it. Um,
Yeah, it kind of they
uh,
represented it more of a rom-com than what it really was. Like in the way that
yeah, I think they were trying to make it kind of align with American Pie, make it seem like, if you liked American Pie, you'll love this. But this is like in college. And like, no, this is not American Pie. So if you went in thinking it was going to be like American Pie, you were like, why is she throwing up on her in the first 3 minutes? And you probably walked out. And if you really would have liked this movie, you would not have liked the, you know, gone to see something that felt like American Pie. So it took a while to find its audience. And so I'm always grateful that it did, because I just think that the work that Roger did to put this whole thing together, and by hook or by crook to make it, I just think that it definitely deserves an audience.
yeah, and it's something like you said, it would be hard to make today, but you're actually making like comedy and stuff today, and you've done comedies in the past. How is comedy changing for what you can do and what you can't do, or do you think you can still do anything, or is it you know, is it
You,
something you have to
you
now?
definitely can't. You definitely can't do. You can't definitely can't do anything. Um, you know, it's it's tricky. There, people. It's a very different time for comedy, I think, and in some ways that's a good thing. I mean, there's more awareness. There's a little bit more of an awareness of, hey, this is not cool to say. This is not something that you can. But then that also goes too far on the other side. You end up censoring people and trying to cancel them for something that was a joke. Either it was funny, or it was a joke that didn't work, and that happens all the time. Nobody's perfect. Yeah, it's a tricky time. It's a tricky kind of time for comedy. I mean, my brand of comedy is just weird and specific anyway. So I don't know. All you can really do with any comedy is just make it for the people you're making it for. If you try to make a comedy that appeals to all sectors, you're screwed. You're just going to end up with something vanilla. Um, you know, and I was making What Would Diplo Do, which I made for Vice. I was in the edit room with my director and the two editors, and it was at that point where you're about to kind of release it and say, "Okay, here we go, it's done." And I looked at the other three people. I was like, "We like this, right?" And they were like, "Yeah." I said, "Okay," because I like this, but I mean, I might just be freaking weird. But like, we all kind of like this, don't we? And they were like, "Yeah, dude, I think this is awesome." They was like, "Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of show I've watched." I'm like, "Okay." We made it for the people in the room, and the people in the room were the ones making the decisions on that. And so, you go specific or you go home for me. And I mean, that was a show for like stoners who watch Viceland. Um, and it worked. I mean, it,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
happened to get 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, which was not anything that I'd expected. I thought most people would hate it. But had I tried to get something that would get a high Rotten Tomato score, had that been a thought all in my head, forget about it. It just would have ended up vanilla and bland, I think.
Oh well, hey, thank you very much for doing
So yeah,
the interview, and I know it's you're busy. You got 5 kids. You're in Austin, Texas, but we're here in Iceland. We're very happy that you took some time out to talk to us.
Oh, amazing. I'm gonna have to come visit you. I'm gonna bring with the kids. I'm sorry if they're screaming in the background if you
Oh
can
yeah,
hear them.
perfect. Yeah, I'm the person to talk to. I can show you everything.
Amazing. Amazing. Fantastic. Well, we've always wanted to go. So at some point we will definitely come visit.
Perfect. Okay, well, thank you very much, James. Have a wonderful day.
Awesome. Take care.